What's up, everybody? Welcome back to season 2 of OTI, Open to Interpretation, right here on the Ethos Media Network. Make sure you like, you share, you subscribe, and you comment. Y'all know we talk spicy on here, and we love talking about the topics other people might be uncomfortable about. So we're here to bring that back to you once again. I have the fellas with me, and y'all know how we do on this show. So at first, we're going to listen to a clip. There's been a clip that's been circulating a little bit here. Eboni K Williams said some things that ruffled some feathers. And, there's been a big internet backlash basically based on it. So if you're unfamiliar with what's been going on, of course, we have the clips here for you. So we will play the first clip. We'll play the second clip. Then I'm going to bring the homies on so they can tell y'all what they've been up to, because I know y'all been asking, y'all been wondering. They're back. So let's get it started.
That you've said that you cannot teach a man or tell a man how to be a man. So I will not ask you to indict men in this question. But I do want you to speak, Ayanla, to how women need to, position ourselves so that we can be in our divinity, so we can have our crowns right, how we can create and not build, when some of us, quite frankly, feel that the men that are available to us, and I'm talking about across the color spectrum, across the age spectrum, trust me, I've done them all, they are not positioned to protect nor provide because of some of the statistics we just talked about. They're not earning the incomes. They're not having the resources, and some of them are not even showing up in the leadership.
Would you date a bus driver? Would you date
if he owns the bus? If he owns it, if he owns the bus,
see, that's a problem. That's a problem. That's a problem. Okay. Because the standards and requisites, and I'm not talking about him laying on his sofa playing video games all day. I'm not talking about that. But the standards and the criteria that we use to measure men is off for who we are as women and who they are in this society. I would date a bus driver if he loved driving the bus. If he was a man of integrity, if he was good to his mama, if he treated me well, I would date a bus. Standards.
All right. And here's clip number 2. Here's your response.
So out of the 50,000 plus comments posted on social, I only saw a handful that even considered the possibility of a bus owner being a more aspirational position, and recognizing that I am actually speaking and pouring into the ascension of black men when I said what I said. But see, no, some of y'all were too busy naming and shaming me personally and black women in general as undesirable, gold diggers, and much worse. Now, I suspect that some of y'all are the same men that were bringing home C's and D's on your report cards, only to then be coddled by parents that said, well, that's okay, as long as you're doing your best. Well, listen, I love and believe in the excellence of black men. So no, my dear, C's and D's or any other form of mediocrity is not okay. No, I will not create a soft place for you or anybody that I love to fall comfortably into the bigotry of low expectations. So I'm going to say one more time. So out of the 50, there's absolutely nothing wrong with driving a bus. My mother Gloria drove one for years. But could it be that black America has been sold a narrative of average, regular, and typical being good enough for us? Well, see, that's called white supremacy. And in this case, it takes the form of conditioning black Americans to happily accept being a permanent American underclass. But see, because I know the truth about black folk in America, no, average is not and will never be good enough for me. And the gag is, I don't think it's good enough for you either.
All right. Now, fellas, lack of flaws, LOF, flawless, the homie Twan. We are back. How we doing, fellas?
Man, we good. Excited for season 2.
Yeah, feeling pretty good, bro.
Good, man. That's what the people want to hear. Like I said, people been asking about the show. People hit me up personally. They're like, when are y'all bringing it back? So I'm happy that we can fulfill that, that need that's out there. So, but we have a video to respond to. So, Twan, what are your thoughts when you first hear, you know, the initial argument and then hear her reply after she got some backlash? What are you thinking?
Man, I mean, at the end of the day, I have a few different opinions. First and foremost, my first opinion is I don't think there's nothing wrong with that that young lady having her own personal opinion and her own personal standards. You know, the caveat is though, in any decision you make, you got to understand the consequences. And what I mean by that is like once you set those standards of I only want to be with business owners, you immediately narrow the possibilities of you finding a mate, because the statistics is it's only so many people that are business owners. You know, and that's just my philosophy on that. I don't think nothing's wrong with that. I just, you know, as long as she understands that when she puts that in perspective, it's going to narrow the field of men that are available to her. And in a different light, it's like I don't think nothing's wrong with that, but at the same time, I don't think there's nothing wrong with a young lady wanting that. But I also don't think there's nothing wrong with seeing a man that may be working, driving the bus, but has aspirations to own the bus one day. It's all about where you meet people in their timing. That's kind of what I'm saying. I think it's like maybe a little, I don't even want to say it's unfair because it's her personal choice, but it's like to say that you have to currently be the bus owner just limits her choices, man. And then to her rebuttal, again, she's entitled to think and have any opinion she wants. It's her life. But at the same time, I don't think it's quite fair to say because somebody's not an owner that they're not aspiring to do anything. Because not trying to shade the lady, but I doubt she owns the network that she works for. So it's like, as a man, it's like, where will we be if we start holding women to those same expectations of you got to meet us where we at and higher? Men usually have no problem dating and marrying a woman that may not be as far along in her career as he is. And I just think, again, it's her personal choice. She can do what she wants to do. I just think it's very limiting to the men that she have available to choose from. And I think it's not quite fair to say because a person is not a owner yet that they may not have aspirations or that they may be average, because last I checked, nobody started off owning anything. You know, it's all a process. But again, much peace and blessings to her. It's her life. She's worked hard to get wherever she is in life. And it's her choice, ultimately. I just want people to understand that every choice has a consequence.
I get it. So pretty much what you're to frame in a nice little tight box, what you're saying pretty much is you can have high standards, but when you have those high standards, it's going to severely lower your potential to find somebody, and you may have to just settle for being.
Absolutely. And I'm just piggybacking that because the prelude to that clip was basically her telling Ayanna that she can't find nobody. But it's like, look at your standards.
Got you. So Flaw, would you like to respond to Twan, or would you like to respond to the video?
Man, this episode 1, season 2, and I feel like this is some bullshit and we starting off on the wrong foot. Like, in all seriousness, I genuinely feel like Twan just gave y'all the nicest version that I've ever heard him give ever on a topic of this magnitude because this is ridiculous. This is crazy on so many levels. So let's start with, I don't even know who I'm more upset with, Twan or the clip right now. I can't even tell you which one has me more upset because I expected a completely different answer than the one that I got. So let me start with the clip to begin with. The conversation was cool in my opinion. Where everything got off for me was the sincerity in her answer. She asked her a general question: would you date a bus driver? And then she didn't answer at first. And she asked her again, would you date a bus driver? Because they were having this hypothetical conversation. And a lot of shit is cool in hypothetical land until it applies to you. So once it became real and it's like, will you date a bus driver? It was like, if he owned the bus company, it was very much so that was her honest response. Now that could just be a combination of where she is. That could be a byproduct of just, all of her experiences in life. But it does speak to her truth. Her truth was where she is right now. That's not something that she's interested in. Now, for me, she said that it was taken out of context, and she's saying that she doesn't want to support mediocrity. And it's like, context is everything. And I respect that if you feel like you were taken out of context, I respect that. At the same time, we do have to be held accountable for the things that we say and the things that come out of our mouths. And it's like, the truth was, you said that you wouldn't date a bus driver. You didn't say you would date a bus driver who is striving for more. That's not what you said. When it was put to you, brass tacks, would you date a bus driver? Your answer was no, he need to own the bus. Flat out. And that's messed up in itself. And then to get defensive, because I'm sure you did receive an unfair amount of backlash in your comment section based on what you said. I'm sure you did. But that does not give you the right to then turn around and say that these people, men in particular, were probably coddled and allowed to do their best in all of these other things. I think there's a lot of things in there where it's kind of like, where are you in your relationship with men in general? Because it doesn't sound like there's a healthy level of respect on a basic level, because it sounds like her respect level may be attached to what a man can do and or provide, which is a standard way for some women. But you just got to own that if that's who you are. If what a man can do for you and provide for you is your standard for your ability to respect him, then I understand why you wouldn't date a bus driver, because you don't respect what he does or what he can provide for you. And let's just be willing to have that conversation.
So why do you think, and this is back to you, and then and then Twan, I want you to respond to, but Flaw, why do you you're not a woman, obviously, none of us are women, so that's obvious, but we all know women, we all have women in our lives that we love, we talk to women, so just based on experience, conversations, history, what do you think it is that would make a very successful woman, such as Eboni or anybody else, we can take it off of her personally, still desire somebody who's making a certain amount of income or things of that nature? Like, why do they still have to have that status when they can already do all that for themselves? Why do they still want somebody else to do it for them, in your opinion? Like a man, in a relationship sense specifically, like when it comes to paying for things and, that kind of stuff. Things that definitely she can do on her own because she's at a certain level financially, but,
I got the question. There's a multitude of things, though. I mean, you have social programming. You have what's being seen all over the internet. You have what she was taught, what she was raised. So, some of this stuff isn't even on us to, some of these situations we didn't create. So if you grew up and you watched your grandfather, or you had a mom who worked from home or didn't have to work at all, the world has been set up in a way where the man went out and provided and the woman did certain things. As things have started to shift and change, and things have become more less gender specific, and anybody can go earn or anybody can stay home, the conversation now shifts of how are we balancing respect on both of those sides now? If the way that men respected women at one point was doing A, B, C, D, and the way that women respected men one way was for a certain list of criteria, what's the new criteria that we're going to create for respect? Because There's a difference between you saying, hey, this isn't my ideal situation, and this isn't even something I can touch and or respect. How does a man who gets up and loves, like she said, if this man loves driving a bus and he plays a vital, essential role to the community, he's getting hundreds of people to and from every day safely to their job so that they can provide for their families. Who are you? Disrespectful. This is what I'm talking about. That's rude as fuck for this man to get up bright and early or stay out late or whatever the case may be and go be a public servant to be able to provide for his family. Now, if that's not enough for you, then that's a personal thing. And we can get into that, but don't make it seem like this person is not qualified because he doesn't make enough money to support your grown ass.
There we go. Twan, same question. Just real quick, because Flaw said a lot there, and you can respond to that too, and then, free form back and forth. But just real quick recap. Why do women, a lot of women, not all, real quick, why do certain women, we'll say it that way, certain women who make a lot of money still desire a man to make as much or more than them when they can easily provide for themselves?
Because it makes them feel valuable. Simple as that. Like at the end of the day, when you can provide for yourself, which clearly a lot of women can, a lot of women work, have degrees, and they can pay their own bills. It's kind of like they were taught that was make you valuable, that a man will come into your life. He will do those things. He will pay your bills. He will help your life, make your life a little easier. That's just really what it is. It's like a lot of programming. It's a lot of princess programming, how they were raised. And I understand that. But the problem is the other side of the coin. Like in that day and time when a man was taught to like, hey, man, you date this woman, you marry this woman, you pay the bills, things were completely different. Expectations were completely different. My grandmother didn't have a $1,500 a month self-care program where she had to get her weave done, her lashes, her nails. My grandmother didn't expect to go out of town 6-7 times a year and maybe out of the country 2-3 times a year. The expectation level has completely changed from the woman my great granddaddy was courting and the women that I'm courting today. The expectation level has changed. And that's really the problem. There's not a new agreement to what's going to be fair. And that's what it is. It's kind of like, as women are making their own money, it's like, okay, you want me to come into this house, pay these bills, but yet you still go to work and be subservient to whoever your boss is. And then I come home and be like, why ain't no dinner on the table? And you say, well, I work just like you. Well, who gives a fuck if I'm paying all the bills? I don't care if you work because your income isn't helping the household. It's for self. And I just think that's a big conversation that's not being had currently. It's like, don't pick and choose what rules you want to apply from 1950. And that's the thing I tell women all the time, like, oh, well, granddaddy paid all this and that. And I'd be like, well, grandma didn't have a lot of living. Grandma didn't dress crazy. And grandma didn't have crazy expectations. And if you really want to be blunt, granddaddy could kick grandma ass. And ain't nobody really say nothing. Like, it's a lot of shit that's different. Like, we're just dealing with a completely different generation. I just think the rules of engagement are different. And we just need to have open and honest conversations about what the expectation is. And what I've been realizing is like when men start setting standards, women don't like it. Period.
Okay.
Like if a man be like, hey, for me to take care of you, I don't want you to club. I don't want you to do this. I don't want you to do that. Then you're a chauvinist and you're controlling. But women can have all the standards in the world. They can not date bus drivers. They can not date short men. Like, that's just always been strange to me. It's like, why when women say they standards, it's go ahead, queen, and don't whatever. But as soon as a man be like, well, I don't date fat girls, or I don't date skinny girls, he's like a pig and he's like a fucked up person.
The argument I've heard on the other side of that coin pretty much is because women historically have been used as sex objects, basically. Like, there's certain dudes you can listen to online who essentially admit this, like, to this day, or like, yeah, like, I don't even, you know what I'm saying? Like, they say whatever, but they don't care about women as people at all. They pretty much just view them as sexual objects. So since historically that's always negatively impacted women more than it has men, I think that's where that argument comes from, where they're just having standards, whereas us, it's based in some sort of misogyny. Flaw, what would you say?
Bro, that's ridiculous, though, because one...
Real quick, Twan, Flaw, what would you... I want to get you in on that.
Ask me the question again, because I'm just so through, bro.
I was saying if that the reason why when women say I don't date short dudes or I don't date this type of dude or that type of dude is basically just considered them having standards or preferences. But when men say, oh, we don't date fat girls, we don't date whatever, then we're pigs, we're misogynists. I said that the reason for that I've heard is because women have been used as sexual objects.
No, I stop you again and say, we doing that bullshit again, and y'all got me all fired up to start season 2, and this is some bullshit. The truth of the matter is this is about accountability. If a man says, I don't like fat girls, and she feels like she's fat, she feels like she's undesirable, she feels attacked, that's some personal shit. If you say you don't like short dudes and I'm short, I'm not. I happen to be, 6'3" for everybody out there in the world, but neither here nor there. But if I was a short person, deal with you don't get all you're not into short dudes. And I have to go deal with that. I can't grow taller just because I want to be with you. And that's what we're really talking about. Is like, yo, you got to deal with your reality. Everybody isn't going to fucking like you. Stop acting like everybody has to like you. I'm sorry. You may have a vagina and they may have told you that pussy rules the world, but damn it, it does not mean that everybody's going to like you. And we just got to stop fucking acting like everything is centered around pussy, because it's not. It's just not. It's an overvalued fucking commodity right now that is being blasted on the internet and devalued.
That brings up that it goes in a slightly different direction, but I do want you guys' thoughts on this, right? Because it reminds me of a story I heard earlier today. So the story basically goes, this girl goes on Twitter and she says a friend of hers that works with all men hates working with all men, not for the reasons you think. She hates working with all men because they're too professional with her and they won't include her on any like regular type conversation that's not work related. They just strictly keep it professional with her and don't speak to her about anything else. And she feels excluded and isolated at work now. And so my instant first thought was, but isn't this what y'all wanted? Like, because every dude who walks up to you is gross and creepy and all of this. Like, so
no, what they want is fluid. If you're making emotionally based decisions, your emotions are fluid. Not even disrespectfully. Like, if you're making emotionally based decisions, and this isn't even female specific. If you're a man out there, like if you're a grown ass man out there and you're making emotionally driven decisions, you too will feel differently in an hour, feel differently in 2 hours than you did before, which may lead you to make different decisions. So we just got to slow down and really look at what we're talking about. Like, everybody wants to get off in the weeds on all of this stuff. It's like, no. This isn't nearly as complicated as we make it. This stuff is actually very simple. To the young lady who you said felt out of place at work, that's probably because, okay, how many of these are married men, Shane? How many of those men at work are married men and it's easier for them just to not?
That's a good question.
How many of these, has there been any sexual harassment claims? How serious is the sexual harassment environment at this job? Are these black men? Is this a white woman? Let's get into all of these motherfucking facts that we got to break down that determine why these men may be acting this way, potentially to protect themselves and their families and their livelihood, potentially for somebody at home who don't respect them because he's driving the bus.
And we bring it back. Twan, what's your thoughts, man?
My question is, why does she want to be included? Like at the end of the day, I'm pretty sure it's men that work around all women, and they don't want to be necessarily included in the ladies' talk.
Inside joke, the inside
joke.
joke.
Like at the end of the day, it's like, why do you want to be included? Like, it's kind of like, to me, people kind of want their cake and eat it too. They want it all. Like, these would be the same women though that, like, if she hear how men really talk, she'll get on Twitter saying men ain't shit, men is pigs. Like, men that sometimes are just tired of being judged for being who they are. It's an attack on masculinity, man. And I'm not saying men are perfect. We're far from fucking perfect. We're really flawed. But it's like, God damn, let us be us, man. Like, don't be included in our conversations if you don't want to hear some crude jokes, some sports talk. Just leave us the fuck alone sometimes.
No, the crazy shit is the wanting to be involved until it becomes uncomfortable or something is said that you feel is inappropriate. And that's where it's unfair. Because it's like, you can't have it both ways. As Twan just said, with the have your cake and eat it too. You can't say, I want to be involved in these conversations. Because I get it. You know what? The crazy shit is this. You hit the nail on the head. The reality is, a man isn't thinking about the whispers that a group of women are having. But if a group of men are whispering, is a young lady wondering if the whispering is about her?
Yeah, that's a lot of it. And then I think too, it's just like, it's that feeling when you know everybody's talking, and then you walk in the room and then it gets silent. And then it's like, the fuck was y'all just talking about? You know what I'm saying?
But
like,
there's a difference between, like, you walk in the room and it goes dead silent. Because that could be somebody says something crazy about you or whatever. That's totally different. Let
me keep it real. Because now I'm warm.
You woke up? Did you
now
wake up?
Oh,
okay.
Like, at the end of the day, it's about narcissism and wanting to be the center of attention. That woman cannot understand how she works with all men and none of them want her to be involved in their conversation. None of them want to flirt with her. That's all the fuck it is, bro. That's all it is. She cannot understand why she works amongst all these men and they all want to keep it professional, which to her means none of them like me. Period.
Yeah. And I mean, like you said, in the comments and in the thread under that, it was a bunch of dudes that were basically explaining that to the original poster of the tweet, who was like, yo, we're doing this to protect ourselves. It's not that we don't want to engage y'all in conversation or that we don't want to speak to y'all. It's that we can't take a chance, because all it takes is one time to say something that you misinterpret or we have a misunderstanding or whatever, and then I'm fired now. You know what I mean? And I got to explain to my wife that I got fired over sexual harassment when I didn't even mean to do that. You know what I mean? So that was all the comments from dudes.
I got fired from my bus driving gig that she already didn't fucking respect in the first place.
And one more comment on the bus driver shit that I never got out. The only thing that I thought was unfair is how she's trying to label somebody who drives the bus as mediocre. Like, who are you to say that?
Or even somebody who got B's and C's in school. Because, like, my mom grew up poor, right? Stepdad abused her. This is all, like, I'm not putting nothing out there that's not known. But, like, fucked up. You know what I'm saying? Poor to the point of not having food a lot of nights. Like, that type poor. You know what I'm saying? Like, and so she told me that she doesn't even remember middle school, like, really at all. Like, all 3 years is just not there in her mind. And she was like, I was going to school hungry all the time. I was falling asleep in class because my stepdad was beating my mom ass. You know what I'm saying? How the fuck I'm gonna concentrate at school when I got all this shit going on at home? This is the place I'm gonna sleep because this is the only place I can sleep. So you can't even blame bad grades on mediocrity necessarily. You have to know
Man,
the
it's a
circumstances and the context behind, all that type of shit. That was the
man.
thing that kind of bothered me. I was like, how do you just judge? Like, you know what I mean? Like, you never should just judge off of just one piece of information, I feel like.
But again, no, the woman has the right to do whatever she wants to do. It's all about what she deems important. Like Flaw said, I'm not knocking her. If financial status is the number one priority in her men, then I get it, man. I understand. But it's like it's so many other things that the other young lady said, respect and how much he loved you and certain things that I think in 2023 aren't that important to women as much.
No,
Like,
hold on. No. What she said was, I'm okay with my man being a bus driver if he loves driving the bus. You don't give a fuck about the man that you're with being passionate about what he does. You okay with him making whatever number, insert your personal number that you like, that allows you to be taken care of and comfortable, if he's fucking miserable and hates that shit. What she said was, I'm okay with my man driving the bus if he's able to take care of, providing a life that we both can contribute to, that we both can agree to, and all of that stuff. If he loves you, if he supports you, if he treats you well, those things are so far down the list right now. So it's like,
those things,
as long as he can hit your number, do you care?
why?
That's really what we're talking about.
I got a question for both of y'all real quick.
You know why?
Real quick, Twan. I got a question for both of y'all. I want y'all both to answer. Is it fair for her to even complain then about the dating pool?
No,
like
that's
for
kind
her,
of the point I'm making.
Like for her to be like, it's hard out here, I can't find nobody.
You can.
When that's her standard, is that even a fair complaint?
You can bitch and complain all you want. It's who's listening to you. Now, for me personally, we're gonna say, hey, if you go to anybody and you say, hey, I want A, B, C, D, E, F, G, and you want to complain about there not being any options. Before you complain about there not being any options, let whoever you're talking to know that you shrunk your pool down to the size of a fucking penny. Let everybody know that you're shopping for the 1%. And then let everybody know that you're complaining. That's all. Because they make it seem like, oh, no, I'm just out here looking for a little bit of anything. It's like, no, let niggas know that your criteria is actually the 1%. You gotta be the inside of the inside to snag you one of the ones. But you making it seem like they grow on trees.
No, this is the odd thing, Shane. This is the funny thing about that. When you shrink,
I'm sorry, go ahead, Tom. My bad.
When you shrink your dating pool, and you close it in to these men that are, like he said, this many men. The irony of it is that person dating pool is this.
Right. He don't even want your ass.
So he don't even want you. That's the irony of the shit. He looking at you like, I can date the woman that owns the network. So it's like
when you just think about numbers, in general, right? Like, I could even see if she said like a high earner, because then that leaves room. You know what I'm saying?
Status,
that
bro.
Leaves some room.
This shit felt like status.
That's what I'm.
Go back and look at that. I'm only upset because she don't want to own that her insides answered that motherfucking question. Her insides answered. You can be like, oh, you didn't went through all of the media training that you didn't went through. But that lady asked you a conversation and your insides told the truth. You was like, you was up here with it. Like,
she gave her the blank face at first when she asked her the question.
Something about just looked like, something about that shit inside you don't sit. And you got to go figure out what that is for yourself.
Yeah. And again, Shane, I'm not knocking her for having whatever standard she want to have. Just accept the consequences that come with every standard. That's just like if I say right now, I want to date a girl that's exactly 6 feet tall, 151 pounds, perfectly caramel brown, long black natural hair. Man, where am I going to find it? Like, and then when I do find her, how hard am I going to have to work to get her to like me? And how many men am I going to have to fend off?
Oh, let me do you one better. Let me draw up my perfect female and see how many females meet that standard, and then let me bash you over the head for not being that lady.
And it's the fact
that's the conversation that I feel like we're having with men. Like, we get beat over the head for some of the individual men who may not meet certain females, and I'm speaking in general for men here, wealthy, poor, whatever, wherever you may fall, whatever that criteria is, whether you meet it or not, it's clearly put in front of you and clearly hit over your head. Like, do you meet this or do you not?
So how do you feel then?
If I walked around hitting females over the head, like, you're a little too heavy, kitties ain't plump enough, need that ass a little fatter, you're not sucking dick enough. Like, what happens? What happens? I'm all kinds of wrong, or whatever male's doing that is all types of wrong and all these other things. But that is what we're experiencing out here every day.
So what do you think of it when she says that she's not bashing men, when she says that what she's doing is trying to motivate, especially black men, quote unquote, that's what she said in the video, to just be better? What is your response to that?
Well, if that's what she was trying to do, I understand it, but the way she went about it wasn't particularly efficient, because you called the people mediocre.
No, she hit the nail on the head. And they got me pissed off. She hit the nail on the head because you're not interested truly in the building of black men, or you wouldn't have said this shit like that. Because if you were truly in a position where you were willing to date a bus driver who had maybe other aspirations, if you were truly into the building of black men or a black man that you're involved with, your brain doesn't even fucking function like that. Your brain would function in a way that says, hey, I support my man. I support my man. As long as my man is doing something positive and adding value to the community and being good by me and taking care of his responsibilities, we can grow from that. But that's not where you are, because that's not what you said. And that's not what your body language said. That's not what your spirit said. That's not what your heart said. You told the truth and you got caught on fucking camera and it went viral. Deal with it.
There it is. So yeah, man. We see how the homies feel about this. You know what I'm saying? Twan's being a little bit more, you know, he's being a little more understanding, a little more empathetic. He's like, I get it. Just understand there's gonna be consequences.
I'm not empathetic at all.
Bless. And
I ain't empathetic. I'm just saying
here is turned up, and he's like, nah, I'm not having that shit. You want some bullshit. So what do y'all think in the comments? You let us know what you're thinking in the comments about Eboni K Williams' her whole conversation here, actually. Her conversation, her rebuttal to everybody who had something to say on the internet, what the homie Twan, what my boy Lack of Flaws LOF, their thoughts. Y'all let us know. Fellas, any last words before we get up out of here?
Not particular, man. My whole thing is this, man. Kind of what I started from the beginning. Like, as I sit back and I think about shit, the only thing that kind of peeves me is like, when you make your decisions, be very cognizant of the consequences and don't complain. You know, like at the end of the day, everything is a conscious choice. And it's like, if you choose to have a very narrow dating pool and you know the statistics and you know everything in the environment you in, then just deal with it and keep it to yourself. Don't make it seem like, oh, black men need to step up because I'm looking for this type of man. Kind of like Flaw said, beat niggas over the head. Like, I'm looking for this type of man. No, there's plenty of black men that own businesses. I actually know a ton of them. So it's kind of like.
But she don't want a business owner. She want a business owner that hits a certain financial status, that lives in a certain zip code, that's at a certain school district with a certain 401k. It's not one fucking thing. That's the problem. Keep going and the bitch don't stop. Just a business owner. Yeah, guess what? Would you fuck with him if he was owning the bus company and it was struggling?
Right.
No, because we still not able to go get Gucci and gold. What the fuck? You can make it seem like, oh no, I just want him to own the company. No, you don't.
Yeah. It's a lot of companies that ain't making a dollar.
Wow.
Man, like that shit's irritating. Like that's what I'm saying. Like we can try to pick this shit apart, but it's all of this shit layered in. It's not one thing that she said. It is the truth about just, and it's again, I'm not even mad at her for where she is. I'm not even addressing this woman personally. I'm just addressing what she represents. Yeah, what she represents is like, where are we gonna go from there? Truly, where do we go from a person that says, okay, because guess what? My question is gonna be, hey man, did you have a father in your household? If you did or you didn't, I don't know to say one way or the other. What percentage of females that do have college degrees and whatnot, what percentage of them had fathers in the household? What percentage of those men were on child support? You know, it may be child support, and I'm not saying that child support is necessarily fair, because I understand that some of these dudes is cheating the system and making money off the books and all of that type of stuff. So I'm not saying that all of this stuff is right. But I am saying that you didn't go to school on your own if he got 18 years of child support, or if that dad is helping put you through school. So how many of those women that now have college degrees had help from men? And more importantly, did the man that put your ass through school, did he even have a degree? Or did he go sweat on a factory floor somewhere to put you in a better position? While you're holding another man accountable for having a college degree.
I mean, all good points, man. All good points, you know.
I mean, again, I'm just using, and again, I'm not putting this on nobody else. I'm just using my own personal situation. I look at my mom. Like my mom was fortunate enough to go to school. My grandfather didn't go to college, but my grandfather made sure all four of his children had the opportunity to go to school, whether they did or they did not. He worked in a warehouse, in a factory. Overtime and everything to put 4 kids, to raise 4 people and a wife. That's not valuable anymore. That's where we are. I want to address that. That's not valuable anymore.
No, I feel you.
Let's talk value. Let's talk real value. Let's get to the brass tacks this season of value.
And that's what we're going to be doing this whole season. You know what I'm saying? We're going to be bringing value to the table once again. We appreciate everybody out there who watches OTI, Open to Interpretation, right here on the Ethos Media Network. Make sure you like, you share, you subscribe. Check out the other shows. We got Bar Exam, which drops every single Monday. Check those Monday mornings. Make sure you check out Politics as Usual, which drops every Saturday morning. And then we are back with OTI Season 2, which will be dropping on Wednesday morning. So make sure that you are here every Wednesday with the homie Twan, with LOF Lack of Flaws, with myself, Shane G. This is Ethos Media Network. Thank you to all of the subscribers, all of our new subscribers. Make sure you share so that way, you know, we can continue growing. So on that note, we'll catch y'all next week. Peace.